Hi everyone, my name is Giovanna Proença and today we're gonna talk about problem set 6, CS50 P-shirt of CS50 Introduction to Programming with Python. So if you would like to have 24/7 support with a programming expert in Telegram group and also group coaching, check the description below. Alright, and we would like to emphasize that this video solution is made for those who have already completed the assignment and want to have an alternative view about the problem. We totally discourage plagiarism. Okay, so let's see what is the goal here. Basically, we're gonna receive a image. We're gonna use one image, alright, that is this one, for example, before1.jpg. And this image will be a Muppet, okay? And our goal is to put this shirt that we're receiving here in shirt.png in front of this Muppet, okay? Let me show here on CS50, I think it's better. So we're gonna receive this and we have to output the Muppet with a shirt, okay? And we're gonna use another library, but don't worry, we're gonna see how we're gonna do this. But let's start with the requirements, okay? So here we're gonna start with this part. The program should instead exit via sys.exit. So if the user does not specify exactly two command line arguments, if the inputs and outputs name do not end with JPG, JPEG or PNG, and if the input name does not have the same extension as the output's name, or if the specified input does not exist. So we have these cases here. We're gonna receive only the name of our file and two other files that will be images. All right, so we have to receive 3 elements in our command line. If we receive less, we're gonna display this message too few command line arguments. If we display more, we're gonna display too many command line arguments. If they don't have the same extension here, JPG and PNG, we're gonna display input and output have different extensions. And if the other 2 arguments are not images, we're gonna display a message as well, okay? So this will be our first part. I already created here the pseudocode, all right? So we're gonna start calling here this check command line argument. So I created a function called check command line argument. And in this function, we're gonna do these checkings that I just said, okay? So let's start applying here. So check how many elements in the command line. So to do this, how can we work with the command line arguments? Let's see this animation about sys library. The sys library in Python provides various functions and variables that are used to manipulate different parts of the Python runtime environment, specifically command line arguments. Command line arguments are those which are passed during the calling of the program, along with the calling statement. To achieve this using the sys module provides a variable called sys.argv. Let's see this example. Let's suppose we have a file called test.py that looks like this. Import sys, so we're importing the module sys, and we're doing print sys.argv. If we run test.py in terminal doing python test.py red, green, and blue, we can see that sys.argv is a list of command line arguments. So we're printing the list test.py, the first element, the second element red, the third element green, and the fourth element blue. If we try to print the length of sys.argv like the code above, so we're using the same file test.py, import sys, and we're doing print length sys.argv. If we run the terminal again doing python test.py red, green, and blue, we will see that length sys.argv provides the number of command line arguments, so we print the number 4. Finally, if we want to print the first element of our sys.argv list, we can do, again, the same file test.py, we're importing the sys module and we're printing sys.argv on position 0. If we run test.py in terminal doing again python test.py red, green, blue, then we check that sys.argv0 is the name of the current Python script, which is test.py. So now that we saw how it worked, let's start applying, alright? So basically our argv will be a list. So let me show you. If we print here sys.argv, and this argv will be the list of all the arguments that we're passing the command line. So let me enter here in our code. And if I do python shirt.py, this, oops, Okay, let me comment this out. This is the issue. So if I run this again, short.py will be the only argument in our command line. If I do short.py before one.jpg and after .png, these will be the three elements that we have in our command line, all right? Everything we have here in the command line besides the Python word. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna check if we are receiving exactly three arguments. So if the length of this sys.argv is less than 3, what are we gonna do? If we take a look here in the how to test, we're gonna display this message, too few command line arguments. And we're gonna use the sys.exit that will exit our code, and we're gonna display the message. So this kind of break our code and we don't run anymore. So if I do this sys.exit and we display this message, if we put less, for example, if I remove this after blah blah blah, we're just passing 2 arguments, so it's displaying too few command line arguments. And if we're passing more than 3 argv, we're gonna display another message, and will be the same idea of the first one. It will be too many. Alright, too many command line arguments. Okay, so this is the case. If I put here, for example, red, it will display too many because here we have 4 arguments in our command line. Alright, now we need to check if these 2 arguments here are images. Okay, so how are we gonna do this? We're gonna use one extension here that they tell us to use, one function, sorry, from this os.path.splitText. Okay, and what this does? So basically we're gonna split our text when we have the dot. For example, here we're splitting in bar, so we have one word that will be bar and another will be empty. Here, if we split the text in full bar.x blah blah blah, we're gonna split our code in this part, the first one and the other part. Okay, so we're gonna use this split text to split where we have the extension, the dot blah blah blah. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna create a variable here called file1, okay, and I'm gonna do, let me see, here this is how we do. We have to say split text, okay, and I already imported this function, and here I'm gonna pass the argument on position 1, that is this before JPG. Alright, so let's print file1 and let's see what this is. If we print file1 in here, so here we are receiving before 1 and the second part of our file1 variable, it's the extension .jpg. All right, so we're gonna use this .jpg to check if it's a file or not. We're working with this part here, this second bullet point. If the inputs and outputs names do not end with jpg, jpeg or png, we're gonna display a message. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same for the second one. All right, so I'm gonna do the same for the second argument. So here 2 and here 2 as well. Okay, and I'm gonna print file2 so we can check what this is. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna create a function to check if they have the same extension. All right, I already create here this function, the definition, but we're gonna create this function together. So check extension, and I'm gonna pass the file1, for example, and let's see what this means. Okay, if I print check extensions. So what we're gonna do in this check extension, we're gonna check if the extension finishes with .jpg, .jpeg or .png. Okay, so if file, so if file in, and what it will be our list. So here we're gonna pass the following. We're gonna use the .jpg, the .jpeg, and the .png, right? I think these are the ones. PNG, JPG, and JPEG. Okay? If they finish with this, we're gonna return true. So this means they have the correct extension. Otherwise, we're gonna return false. Okay? And in here, we're gonna pass the parameter that is in the position 1. Okay, because if you remember, this is position 0 and this is position 1, all right? So in file1, we're gonna pass the element on position 1. So let's check this. Let me show you first without these other things that we have. So let's run it again. So what is file 1 on position 1? It's going to be just the extension, okay? So we're checking if this now what are we gonna do? We're gonna check if this extension here, the .jpg, is in this list. If it is in this list, this means that we have the correct extension, otherwise it's false. Okay, so let's print. We are supposed to see here true, because here .jpg is in this file, right? And we are printing true. If we pass, for example, here something else, like py, it will display false, because py is not in this list. Okay, so we're gonna check this. Alright, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna say if this check extension file 1 is equals false, or the check extension for the output for file 2 on position 1 is equals false, this means that they don't have the correct output. They are not images. So we're gonna display this message, invalid output, for example, or invalid input. I think this is, or not a file image, I think this is the one. Okay, actually let's split them in two. So if in here this happens, so if the input is not correct, we're gonna say sys.exit, and here we're gonna display invalid input. Okay, and if the extension on position 2, the second one, we're gonna say sys.exit invalid output. Okay, so here we're checking if they have the correct extension for our image. Finally, we have to check if extension of both files are the same. So we're gonna say if file 1 on position 1, so the .jpg, for example, in lowercase is equals to file 2 on position 1 in lowercase, they mean they have the same extension. So if we say that they are not the same, we use this exclamation mark that say if they are different, this means that we're gonna print this message. Input and output have different extensions. Alright, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna say sys.exit and we're gonna display this message. Okay, so let's test. If I put here everything correctly, if I put here one image with JPG and another with PNG, we're gonna put input and output have different extensions, so this is correct. If I put here something else, it will print invalid input. If I put here something else, for example py, in the output it will print invalid output, and basically everything is working. Alright, so for receiving the images, we're doing everything correctly. Now we have to open the image and check if we can open it. Alright, so let's do this. So to do this second part of opening the image and doing the changes that we have to do, we need to import another library, right? If you take a look here at the hints, they're telling us to use this pillow package that we can work with an image. Alright, so first I suggest you to install this in your terminal. Alright, pip install pillow, and then you have to install as well, you have to import here this part. Okay, the pill image and image ops, and then we can start working. All right, so basically if we take a look in here in this reference, we can do this later, but basically we have to, this part we're gonna do this later. So first we have to open the image, and we have to check if we are able to open the image or not. Okay, so how can we do this? We're gonna use this notation here on image.open. Okay, but we are gonna try to open. All right, if we cannot open, we're gonna raise an exception, file not found error. All right, and we're gonna display a message saying that the image does not exist. So let's do step by step. We're going to do try. Okay, and here I'm gonna call image file will be equals to this image open. And what are we trying to open? We're trying to open this argument here on position 1, the before 1.jpg. Yes. All right, so we're gonna try to open this one, and if we can't, we're gonna have an except, and we're gonna use this this error here, file not found error. All right, and here we're gonna display a message. We're gonna exit our code and we're gonna display a message, and the message will be this one that we can see in here. Input does not exist. Okay, so this means that the input does not exist. All right. Now we need to open the shirt. Okay, so far we're opening this image, for example, the before one.jpg, we're opening the Muppet. Now we have to open the shirt image. All right, so we're gonna do exactly the same thing that we did in here. So I'm gonna call shirt file, for example, and we're gonna do image.open, and we're gonna open the shirt.png. Okay, now we're gonna take a look at the documentation and start applying the things to make the output. So now we need to do some things to paste the shirt in front of the Muppet, all right? So first we need to get the size of the shirt, all right, the size of the file in here, and then we're gonna shrink the file of the Muppet to put the shirt in front, all right? And then we're gonna paste the shirt in front of the Muppet, and then we save the file, okay? So let's do step by step. So this part of get the size of the shirt, we're gonna use this thing here in the hints, that it's from our pillow package. All right, we're gonna do size equals to shirt.size. All right, so we get the size of our shirt file. So here instead of shirt, we're gonna say shirt file, okay, because this is where we're storing the file in here. So now we have to resize the Muppet image to fit the shirt. All right, so to do this, we're gonna use this image ops package from pillow, and this has the fit function. So the fit function returns a resized and cropped version of the image, cropped to the requested aspect ratio and size. So we have to pass the image that we want to change and the size, all right? So the image we want to change is this image file, and the size is the size of this shirt that we just got it. Okay, so we're gonna do here, I'm gonna create a variable called Muppet, okay? And we're gonna use image ops, I think this is the name, right? Fit, this is the name of the function, so the first parameter is the image and then the size. So the image is the image file and the size is the size variable that we just did, all right? Then, now that we resized the image, we need to paste the shirt that we wanna insert in here, okay? So we're gonna use this variable here, okay? And instead of photo, this will be our Muppet, okay? So we wanna paste the shirt file in our Muppet. Okay, so now we need to save the output file, all right? So what we can do, we're gonna use one function that has name save from image. So we're gonna use our Muppet.save, and here we just need to pass the name of the file where we're gonna store this image. And the name of the file is the second argument that we're using, all right? Because remember that in here, we're gonna receive the name of the output file, okay? So this will be the sys.argv on position 2. And that's it, okay? So let's test. If we run here python shirt before one.jpg and the other one, if we click enter, okay, it didn't did anything, but here we have our before one.jpg, all right, this Muppet. And if we open up here in the directory, we can open up the after.jpg. This is the file that we're pasting this shirt. And if we open up, now we have the Muppet with the shirt. All right, like we can see in here. This is the Muppet, and now that this is resized, that's why we have like a zoom in the image and the shirt in front, okay? So this is the code. Now let's do check 50 and check if we did everything correctly. So like we can see in here, we got our green, so this means that we are correct. All right, this is it for this problem. If you enjoyed this content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, send a message here on the comment, or if you want to have a Telegram group and a group coaching, you can check the description below. All right, so I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.